the ghost villages in Ladakh. Um, Something I learned about last night watching a documentary. And I had seen a documentary 30 years ago on VHS. VHS before I ever used the internet in 1996. So it's called Ancient Futures by Helena, Norberg-Hodge, and it's about the traditional Buddhist culture of Ladakh, which is, they also call it Little Tibet. And so she showed the villages, the farming villages high up in the Himalayas, and you can watch that documentary on YouTube. So it's these beautiful traditional farming villages, and they send one person out of each family, one son to or daughter, to be a Buddhist monk or nun. And so that's how they kept their population from growing too fast, and they farmed their traditional crops, and they relied on the glacier meltwater every year. But now the glaciers are gone. They don't get enough meltwater, so they can't farm anymore. They can't grow crops, and so the whole villages are abandoned. And then some of the villages are trying to capture the meltwater and then refreeze it in the wintertime, so it's like a artificial glacier that they created to try to then have meltwater throughout the year to irrigate their crops. And so that's the future of farming on Earth, is that we're going to have lots of ghost villages like in Ladakh because of the increase in drought and or flooding, because you get extreme weather either way. So it's pretty wild that when I started out I wasn't 30 years ago when I was doing environmental activism, I learned about Ladakh, and I never really thought, oh, it's going to be destroyed by global warming. Even though 1996 was when I worked for Greenpeace, and I learned that global warming was the biggest concern of the director of my Greenpeace office, Bill Bussey. And I was surprised to hear that at the time, and sure enough, 30 years later, that those villages are ghost villages now. So I will link the two documentaries that show the before they farmed there for thousands of years, and then now in 30 years, no more.